Hello everybody, welcome back to our second lecture in report writing for business. In this lecture we will start explaining chapter 2, collecting and handling information. The main points of this lecture are an introduction, find adequate relevant information, obtain the information, record your findings, sort and group your findings, evaluate your findings, prioritize your findings, check your findings. An introduction. Once you have carefully planned your report, it's time to carry out all the work that will be necessary before you can actually write it. In other words, you are now ready to undertake your project or investigation. Your task is to collect and handle enough relevant information to enable you to put skin on the bones of your framework. It's quite possible to write a bad report even after doing good research, but it's impossible to write a good report after doing poor research. The stages your research should follow are as follows. Find adequate, relevant information. By now, you will have identified the information you require. There are 4 sources of information available to you: people, books and other publications, information technology, events and places. Obtain the information. Information can be gathered by one or more of these methods: experimentation, reading, listening, observation, interview, telephone call, and questionnaire. Record your findings. Many organizations have their own formal systems for recording information. For example, report writers may be expected to produce working papers which may be reviewed before, during, or after the production of a report. These papers may also need to be consulted if any statement in that report is challenged, or if some clarification is required. Some organizations will require files of background information or planning information or progress reports or staff and other resource usage and costs, or documents required to generate data. So, ultimately, you must record your findings in the way your organization recommends. However, you may have more freedom to choose the methods by which you record your findings during the investigation or project. There are many ways of note-taking, and each person will prefer a particular method. Whichever method of note-taking you use, remember that good notes will always follow the 5C rule. They will be clear, concise, comprehensive, complete, correct. Sort and group your findings. If the reports have been well planned, this process will be quite straightforward. Use the headings and subheadings of your framework and make sure you have gathered enough relevant information to complete each section and subsection. If you need more information, gather it now, not once you have started to draft your report. Evaluate your findings. There are 2 aspects to this evaluation. How reliable are the findings? How significant are the findings? How reliable are the findings? There are 4 factors by which the reliability of information should be judged: accuracy, objectivity, completeness, strength. Let's explain each of them. Accuracy. Sometimes you can check the data supplied. For example, are the mathematical calculations accurate? Information may also be inaccurate if it's out of date. In legal matters, has account been taken of any recent and relevant legislation or case law? When textbooks have been consulted, were they the most recent editions? Objectivity. When people have strongly held beliefs, they will often see or hear things which support these beliefs, but they will not see or hear things which oppose them. So, ask yourself whether all the major or relevant points of view have been fairly represented. If the subject is debated, the arguments for both or all cases should have been presented. At the very least, the person who provided the information should have made it clear that the views expressed are his or her own, and should then provide references to opposing viewpoints. Finally, be very wary of statements without supporting evidence. Completeness. It's often extremely difficult to prove that information is complete, or more accurately, that it's not incomplete. For example, we know of many animals that once inhabited the world, but how can we prove that they were the only ones? How can we prove that unicorns never existed? What you must ask yourself is whether relevant information has been provided. Then look at it from the other side. Is all the information provided relevant? Strength. Evidence is strong when it can be verified or reperformed. Independent observers have all come to the same conclusion. There have been a large number of consistent observations. It's in agreement with the general body of knowledge. Conversely, evidence is weak when some of or all of these conditions can't be satisfied. Always differentiate between fact and opinion, and remember that the former provides the stronger evidence. How significant are the findings? You must now step back and measure the implications of your findings. Many report writers simply list every piece of information they have gathered, without any consideration of its relative importance. This is a mistake because it implies that each is of equal weight. It's important to recognize that there will be a variety of interconnected causes for and consequences of an event, and this will not be of equal importance. Prioritize your findings. What you must do is to highlight your most significant findings and be prepared to carefully explain why they are so important. You may find it useful to adjust your framework so that these key findings will not get lost somewhere within the main body of the report or in an appendix. At the other extreme, ask yourself whether everything you have found is worth recording in the report. Perhaps some findings should only be placed in an appendix as evidence of work undertaken, or perhaps they should be omitted entirely. If your readers dismiss any of your findings as unimportant or irrelevant, this can weaken the entire report and severely damage your trustworthiness. As you prioritize your findings, continually remind yourself that your aim will be to tell your readers everything they need to know, but not to waste their time with nonsense. Finally, check your findings. Before you conclude your investigation or project, you must be sure that you have collected and handled all the information you will need to write the report, and you are satisfied that all this information is accurate and reliable. It's far better to fill in any gaps in your research now. Otherwise, you may later have to rely on your memory or on someone's unsupported evidence over the phone, and worst of all, trust to luck before you can complete your draft report. So ask yourself, could I confidently write the report now, relying only on the information I have collected and handled? The investigation shouldn't be wound up until the answer of this question is a definite yes.